Welcome to episode 4 of the Year in Love podcast. I'm your host, Alison Wu. So, Elizabeth Grace actually took her philosophy degree from Wellesley and ended up launching on parallel paths a phenomenally successful career in television advertising while also becoming a very well respected astrologer. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Allison. Oh my goodness gracious, that was a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
I found your blog from a fellow news colleague who pointed out that this movement in the world and the things that were happening actually had a pattern that you could track to astrology. And there was somebody really thinking about that. And you were that person.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. The astonishing synchronicity of planetary patterns and the headlines that run across the wires on a daily basis. I discovered that I was working as a local promo producer for WNBC in New York, and I was the gal who wrote "Tonight at 11. Here's the top story," right?
Right.
So whatever, and I noticed because I've always been interested in astrology, that since I was 9 years old, and read Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. Exactly. I cannot tell you how many astrologers of a certain age, that is the book that lights the fire. So I'd always done that, but they didn't have a degree in astrology at Wellesley College. So I had to do something else. So I ended up not making the news, but making you want to see the news. And the theory of astrology is the flow of planetary patterns. Astrology is a symbolic language. Okay, like any language, it is created by the consciousness of the people who use it, and it evolves as the people who use the language evolve. So astrology is a language that allows us to have a conversation about human experience through space and time. So it allows us to talk about when is it going to happen and what is happening.
There's an element, however, of predictive nature then also to astrology, or maybe where the patterns will go based on some of that movement. One of the things we wanted to talk about was just looking at this first quarter. You talk about people getting things started, right? How do we tap into that energy to then harmonize our own lives and our own choices with that energy? Like, how should we be thinking about this first quarter?
So this first quarter, meaning we're talking January, February, March.
Right.
Okay. Define our terms, because in astrology we would say we should be talking about spring, because that's how the astrological new year is spring, the seasons. But we're going to work off the other calendar. So January, February, March. January was a period of review for people. People who are ready to rush into the new year with all their resolutions may have been frustrated because we had, there were two planets that have to do with our values and our mindset, how we think, what and who, what, and how we need to love. And those planets were moving backwards in the sky. Translation. What does it mean? Translation into English. Okay, so a Mercury retrograde, which I think many of your listeners might know that term, because that's pretty, people know, well, Mercury's retrograde, my computer's going to die, the world's, all that stuff. All right. So it was a time for reviewing your thinking and ideas that you implemented over the last 3 months. And we had another planetary pattern, which doesn't happen very often, which was Venus retrograde. Venus is how, who, what we need to love. So this suggests we need to look with extreme intensity, because of other patterns that I won't go into, about our values. How, it was a good time to look at your financial plan. It was a good time to look at your aesthetic choices. It was very interesting that in the news, like Minnie Mouse has a new outfit and the M&Ms have new shoes, right?
That's right.
Isn't that interesting that and the Washington football team has a new name?
Right.
They've gone through this review of these things, and they're like, okay, We are now something different. We have evolved.
Mhm.
We've changed our values. We've changed because our values have changed. And so what we're putting out to the world has changed. You might look on personal levels, you might look at your relationships and go, is this person really reflecting my true values?
So, but that's a good point for January, right? A lot of those
But
planets
for
were in Mercury.
January,
It was
so,
a good review period.
January was, it should have been it was an apt time for a review of your
Right.
values and your thinking. You know, very interesting that we had, you know, people starting to ban books
Right.
in the news
Mhm.
because people are looking at, well, is this thought, does it reflect me? And some people are going, no, it doesn't. And you're like, okay. So then everybody has to talk about that. So now in February, we have Mercury. Mercury, the planet of communication and thought, is at a virtual standstill right now. If you looked at Mercury from planet Earth, it wouldn't be moving from our perspective. I mean, it is moving, but from our perspective. So it's interesting that as I am speaking to you today, like even the words that I'm, you know, that are coming out of my mouth, I'm like, it's challenging to pull them out. And that's reflecting the energy of the planets today.
Mm.
So Mercury is going to turn direct on Thursday. That's today at 11:12 p.m. So we're going to need a few days to get our minds working back up to speed. And what may happen this month is that we will still be reviewing some of the adjustments that we needed to make in January. We don't really start moving full speed ahead until March.
Okay.
Even though the planets are moving forward, but they still have to catch up to where they were when before they started moving backwards.
So there's a certain momentum they have
So
to
there's a
get in this
momentum, and it's
rhythm.
like, you know, and it's, you know, like we are trained you know, we grow up in this world, I think, and the values of our particular, you know, in this country, it's like go, 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 go. Well, the planetary patterns do not do this. They move forward from our perspective, and then they go back. You know, we're not programmed to be moving forward. Like, look at now, the planetary patterns don't make people do things. I mean, that you want to get in that mindset. The mindset of, you know, the cycles, you can always choose how to respond to what is presented, the opportunities and challenges. So you being mindful of Mercury is retrograde. I know enough about astrology to know that my travel plans and my documents might go through a bit of there might be some radio static. And so you plan accordingly. You book flexibility. That's the way to use awareness of astrology, that astrology is a tool. It's a really good thing to know about. It's not necessarily a belief system, it's not a religion. It's a tool for understanding how and when and what is likely to happen.